So if I say the Confederacy was a treasonous territory that seceded from the Union and raised an army predicated on maintaining and expanding the institution of slavery, in a lot of circles, that would be perceived as an ideological statement. And if I'm in a classroom, that would be perceived as me attempting to indoctrinate students with my political beliefs, when it's actually just reflective of the empirical and historical evidence that we have, right? Like the Confederacy said it for themselves. If you look at the Declarations of Confederate Secession in 1861, they say it. A state like Mississippi says, quote, "Our position is thoroughly aligned with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interests of the world." All right. So they were not vague about why they were seceding from the Union. They were quite clear about it. But part of what has happened over the course of more than a century now is that those stories and that sort of evidence, that sort of primary source evidence, is not presented to students. And so the narrative of the Confederacy being this thing that was just fighting for states' rights, or Robert E. Lee being an honorable man who was just doing right by his community, or that this war was a war of northern aggression rather than one that was predicated on these folks leaving the country in order to sustain this abominable social and economic practice, it gets muddled, right? It becomes a sort of Orwellian thing where it's not even meant to turn everybody into racist. It's just meant to make people confused, to the point where in 2018, you have a study from the Southern Poverty Law Center that shows that only 8% of U.S. high school seniors are able to identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War.